To say this is one of the strangest mysteries ever recorded would still be an understatement. Imagine a sunny vacation with friends, the sea breeze in your hair, drinks in hand, laughter echoing late into the night. But then, everything twists. A bar fight, a strange, creeping panic, and finally, a desperate sprint through an airport. Never to be seen again. It's been nearly a decade since that day. No friends, no family, no investigators have managed to find him. His trail simply vanishes. That's where I come in. They call me the collector. I search for stories like this, the ones that slip through the cracks of reality, the ones that keep you awake at night. And this is the chilling disappearance of 28-year-old German tourist Lars Mittank. A perfect vacation. Until everything went wrong. It all began on June 30th, 2014, when Lars and a group of friends arrived in Varna, Bulgaria. They were headed for a week-long getaway at a popular seaside resort called Golden Sands. The plan was simple: relax by the water, enjoy the nightlife, and return home with great memories. At first, that's exactly how it went. The days passed quickly. The group laughed, partied, and soaked in the summer vibes. Everything was perfect, until the very last night. On July 6th, the group decided to hit a local bar. They were savoring their final evening when Lars got into an argument with another group of German tourists. It was nothing earth-shattering, just a heated sports debate, but tensions flared. Lars eventually left the bar before his friends, and they wouldn't see him again until the next morning. When he returned, his story was alarming. Lars claimed that he'd been attacked by 4 men he believed had been hired by the people he argued with the night before. His injuries were serious: a swollen jaw and a ruptured eardrum. The injury that changed everything. Later that day, Lars visited a doctor. He was prescribed an antibiotic called cefprozil for the ear injury and told not to fly until it healed. Air pressure changes could make things worse. His friends offered to stay with him, but Lars insisted they return to Germany without him. So on July 7th, his friends checked out and boarded their flight home. Lars booked a new hotel closer to the airport, planning to catch a later flight when he was cleared to travel. Paranoia sets. That's when things began to turn strange. Almost immediately, Lars seemed different. Staff at the hotel noticed he was agitated and restless. He paced the hallways, peered nervously out of windows, and seemed hyper-alert, as though he was expecting something or someone. That day, he called his mother. His voice was hushed, almost a whisper. He told her to cancel his credit cards immediately, claiming that people were trying to rob him. Then his tone darkened. He said there were people who wanted to kill him. Later that night, surveillance footage showed him wandering the hotel in a state of visible paranoia. At one point, he hid in an elevator. Around 2 a.m., he left the hotel for an hour before returning. No one knows where he went during that time. The final day, by the next morning, July 8th, his panic seemed to escalate. He called his mother again, saying the people chasing him were getting closer. Still, he made plans to fly home that day. Lars went to Varna Airport and visited the airport doctor to confirm it was safe for him to fly. The doctor later recalled telling him that his ear was fine and that he could board without any issues. But during their conversation, something happened. The airport was undergoing renovations and a construction worker entered the doctor's office. Almost instantly, Lars began shaking. He muttered, "I don't want to die here, I have to get out." Without warning, he bolted from the office, sprinted out of the airport, climbed a fence, and vanished into a nearby forest. His luggage, containing his wallet, passport, and phone, was left behind. That was the last confirmed sighting of Lars Mittank. Theories and speculation about what happened to him has run wild ever since. Some point to the obvious. His erratic behavior might have been the result of a mental health crisis, but according to his mother, Lars had no history of mental illness. Others have focused on the antibiotic prescription. Cefprozil belongs to a class of drugs that, in rare cases, can cause paranoia or hallucinations. But this theory hit a dead end when the airport doctor revealed that Lars never even filled the prescription. Could he have suffered a brain injury during the bar fight? Possibly. Head trauma can cause sudden changes in mood, thought patterns, and perception. But even that doesn't fully explain the intense paranoia, the fear of being hunted, or the dramatic escape from the airport. Inside Lars's mind, a descent into fear. While no one can say for certain what triggered Lars's behavior, one thing is clear. Something in those final hours convinced him that his life was in immediate danger. To explore that possibility, let's try to step into his mindset. Imagine you've just been beaten up by strangers. You didn't recognize them, but you suspect they were connected to the people you argued with the night before. That alone would shake your sense of safety. Now you're alone in a foreign country, injured and feeling vulnerable. Every unfamiliar face starts to look suspicious. Your mind begins to connect dots that might not even be there. Maybe the attack wasn't random. Maybe the people from the bar are still watching you. Maybe they have friends everywhere. The doctor, the pills, and the doubt. In this fragile state, even the act of going to a doctor could feel risky. Yes, they're supposed to help you, but what if they're connected too? What if the medication isn't really medication? What if it's poison? Those thoughts might sound irrational, but when paranoia takes hold, they can feel painfully real. This could explain why Lars never filled his antibiotic prescription. Maybe he feared that taking the pills would only make him more vulnerable. Fast forward to the day of his flight. He's still wary, still unsure who he can trust, but maybe part of him hopes the airport doctor can give him the green light to go home. Sitting in that office, he's in an uneasy truce with his own mind, until the construction worker walks in. The moment everything snapped now, in a normal situation, that would mean nothing. But to someone already convinced that people are after them, it could be the spark that sets off a chain reaction. The man's presence feels wrong, out of place. And here's where it gets interesting. What if this construction worker resembled one of the men who attacked him? For a mind already primed with fear, this wouldn't feel like coincidence. It would feel like confirmation. In that instant, the fragile wall between suspicion and certainty collapses. The worker isn't just suspicious. In Lars's mind, he's part of the conspiracy. The doctor might be in on it too. And now he believes they're both here to finish the job. The fear becomes overwhelming. His fight-or-flight response kicks in at full force, and he chooses flight. The sprint into the unknown. He bolts from the room, races through the terminal, and doesn't stop until he's outside. He doesn't grab his bag, his phone, or his passport. Those things don't matter anymore. Survival does. He climbs the airport fence and disappears into the trees. And then, nothing. No trace. No confirmed sightings. Over the years, theories have multiplied. Some believe he ran deep into the forest, disoriented and scared, and met with an accident. Others think he may have gone into hiding, convinced that staying off the grid was the only way to stay alive. There's also the grim possibility that someone did, in fact, harm him after he fled the airport. But perhaps the most haunting possibility is that he's still out there somewhere, alive, but trapped in the same paranoid state that sent him running that day. An unsolved modern legend. The case of Lars Mittank has become something of a modern urban legend, fueled by the eerie airport footage and the sheer strangeness of his disappearance. That final video, him sprinting across the tarmac, climbing the fence and vanishing toward the forest, has been watched millions of times online. For many, it's a disturbing image that raises far more questions than it answers. Who, if anyone, was chasing Lars? Did he truly have enemies in Bulgaria? Or was it all the product of a mind unraveling under stress? And if it was paranoia, what exactly pushed him over the edge? Theories without proof. There's no shortage of speculation. Some point to organized crime, noting that Bulgaria has been a hotspot for gang activity. Others think it's possible that Lars stumbled into something criminal without realizing it. Maybe overhearing something he shouldn't have, or being mistaken for someone else. Still, there's no concrete evidence to back up any of these ideas. The only hard facts are what's on record: a vacation gone wrong, an injury, escalating paranoia, and a sudden, unexplained flight from safety into the unknown. Still missing today, the case remains open. His family continues to hope for answers, clinging to the idea that someone, somewhere, knows what happened after the cameras lost sight of him. If you were in his position, alone, injured, and convinced that people were after you, how would you react? Would you run too? And if you did, would anyone ever see you again? Lars Mittank was last seen on July 8, 2014, at Varna Airport in Bulgaria.